Hi, I'm Corey. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. Welcome to another squirrel video. And this one is brought to you by Tracie Fox. I was planning on, and will still do, the inserts to Stamperia Forest. And one of the reasons for the delay is I'm doing 5 different inserts with different personal needs in mind, so that you can make repeat one of the one kind, or a couple of different ones, or all 5. And the first video will show you the simple insert as well as the other 4, and then the next 4 subsequent videos back to back will be each of the different inserts and how I made them. And so I needed a block of time to do those. The prototypes are done, I just haven't had a block of time, and I had intended to do that first, but again, Squirrel, Tracie Fox style. She had recently shared a video of a pay it forward video, and rather than having people comment on her video, her idea was to have people comment on channels that she'd shared for some new people or new to her people, which brings me back to another point. Moira Gray, one of her design team people, had done a video based on, or made a project based on, Susie from Shabby Soul's accordion book that she had made for Tim Holtz design team. And this summer, beginning of school year, as I'm doing things, I'll listen to Tim Holtz lives in the background as I'm grading papers or creating content, or evaluating student work or reviewing it or what have you. And I had seen the journal that the accordion journal that Susie Shabby Soul had made, and it would immediately went on make my copy and make this list. I just haven't done it yet because I squirrel a lot. And anyway, Moira had made one of those, and then Tracie was inspired by those two to make one, and then she's going to gift that journal to a viewer who comments on one of the new videos, not on her video, but on one of those new channels that she'd shared. And one of her comments was, we all subscribe to a lot of channels, or we all subscribe to a bunch of channels, or what have you, something like that. And it made me realize I really don't. I have maybe a dozen channels that I subscribe to, because once again, channels make me squirrel. I go off on a tangent and I get an idea and I run with it. So I don't subscribe to them, and I should, because people have subscribed here, and we learn from each other. I can certainly put them in a watch list and watch them later. Back to why I'm doing this video. Paying it forward. So I want to piggyback on Tracie's idea, and yesterday, after I was done with school for the day, today is Wednesday the 24th, and we just finished school for the Thanksgiving break yesterday. So today is our first day off. And I had started to do one of those accordion books because, 1, I want to pay it forward like Tracie, and 2, I'd been wanting to do one of those for a long time, and 3, I was combining it with another item on my list, nothing but scraps, just using scraps to create that accordion journal. And then I know that Tracie uses iMovie to edit her videos, so you don't have to see the sewing and the inking and the internal, a lot of cutting and such. And I started to learn about editing with iMovie, and then I started going off on another squirrel, and I thought, okay, stop, because it didn't work. I did 4 videos, and I cut it in the wrong places, and I edited it in the wrong places, and I definitely have a lot more to learn. And it made me realize that I wasn't going in the right direction. So I kicked it back a little bit, and this morning I thought I'd had some questions. I was answering some YouTube questions, and somebody had said that yes, I had shared this one and how I made it, but I hadn't shared this little itty bitty guy, and would I please share that? So sure, I'm happy to. And then I started thinking, I can do this. This was a project with just bits and pieces left on my desk, and I was cleaning off my desk from another make, and I made this based on just those little itty bitty pieces. And so I thought, that ties into nothing but scraps, and that can tie into pay it forward, and Lord knows I have a whole big huge bin of scraps over here. So that's what I'm going to do. But before, I wanted to answer a couple of the questions that I got. One was the die cut, how I store my die cuts, and I put it in here, I think. I'll just grab the whole bin. I'll just grab this whole big old bin. I have a big wooden bin with my initial on it, last name D, that I got at, I don't know, a craft fair or something, or antique mall maybe. But it's just really a cool storage bin. And I've got some things in here, well, yeah, you can see, that based on viewer questions or such. And so I'll pull that out and I will just start answering those because, again, I'm going to go off on a tangent. All right, somebody had asked about these. And what they are, you can get them at Hobby Lobby or I'm sure any knitting store, but I bought mine on Amazon. They're knitting needle caps. And I use them for the end of my glue, and I use them for my seam ripper. And somebody said, well, why don't you just use one of those for your awl, your plunge awl, so that you don't poke yourself? And so I did. I took her advice. Thank you. I think that was a Susie, different Susie. Thank you, Susie, for that. Duh. You know, I have them. Why not use them? So I did that. So thank you very much. And proof that I do indeed read comments and listen to viewers and get enabled by other people. Carrie Fellows from Witchcraft Do You Do had shared these really cool discs that she'd stamped in using paper clay. So I had to order paper clay. And another viewer had mentioned that Sam Brown fasteners would work better for the last journal I shared, the Christmas Advent Calendar, December Daily Journal. And so I ordered some of those because, you know, I do listen to people. And somebody else had said, please make a video at the end of the Flips, Flaps, and Folds flip through. I'd showed some pages that I didn't have specific how-to videos for. So that's coming, but again, not until right after Stamperia Forest inserts. And somebody else had asked about a Misty and stamping, and that's another rabbit hole squirrel thing. Why I didn't list stamping in there, and I'll get to that in just a second. But yes, I have a Misty. It's a great tool, and I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. Anyway, when you use a Misty, one thing you can do is press down on the lid to get an even impression, right? We use our hand a lot, but some people with arthritis and such use what's called a Chucky tool. There you go, another rabbit hole. And so I bought the pieces to make a Chucky tool, and the Chucky tool is just a pressing tool. And I have an old doorknob, a really cool old doorknob. And then I got the felt and then the acrylic stamping block that were recommended. So I did that. Also in that video, there was the little containers that I use to hold my dies, the way I store my dies, my kryptonite. And what I use are the 5.5, I think by 8.5, 5.5 by 8 clear plastic bags. You can get them on Amazon. Just Amazon plastic bags, I guess, plastic sleeves, plastic envelopes, maybe that's what it was. I use those in a couple different sizes. And of course, I thought I had it over here, which is why I grabbed it. But I'm going to grab another one. So here, you can look at this. You can look at the title. I buy those at Home Depot, and you get 3 pieces in a package, and they're about, I don't know, 8 by 15 or something along those lines. And that's what I use to store my dies. And my dies are stored in these. I guess I can do the same thing and measure it. These are clear plastic sleeves, and they measure 5.5 by 8, or 5.5 by 7 3/4. So 5.5 by 7 3/4, and then they're just an envelope, basically a thin plastic envelope, and I put the dies on the magnetic sheet and put it inside there. And because it's because of the size, they're 15 inches, I'll cut each sheet into 3. And then I'll trim it down. Whoa, sorry about that. I didn't even realize I'd hit it. I'll cut each sheet into 3. So I get 9. One package gives me 9 envelope inserts. And it's just a quick, easy way for me to store it. And I use another one of those old wooden boxes, bins, what have you, and store all my dies upright like that. So I can just kind of like store them like this, and then just I can flip through when I want to get a die. So that's die cuts, dies. Let's see what else. Another tool that somebody had asked about, and I haven't used and didn't share, is this gel press. Do I want to try a gel press? Yes, I have wanted to use a gel press forever. I bought it 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't know. Have I ever even opened it? No. It's on my to try list. And that Squirrel, again, another thing to try. resin pours. I bought some of those resin molds and I bought resin to pour in them. Haven't done it. Iron on beeswax. I bought a bag of those beeswax pelts that are so cool. Haven't tried it. Drilling the tops of, now I have done that, but I don't do it very often. I have a drill press that I use to drill the tops of beads and game pieces and such. And I've done a couple of those, but I need to do it way more. The accordion album from Susie, the jelly plate, cracked paste or crackle paste. I bought that this summer when Tim did one of the releases, and I still haven't used it. Hybrid books, journals, and that another tangent. A long time ago, when I was doing regular scrapbooking, you know, in a binder or what have you, whatever kind of system you use, I started doing paper, you know, made by paper albums as well. And I found that I didn't use them very often because they're beautiful, but they were so specific. My pictures almost never went with them. So I had made several, I don't know, maybe a year or two, and then I'd given them away or sold them, or I don't think I sold any. I gave them away. But I found that I just kind of moved away from that. And there is a gal that I saw, it popped up on my Watch This feed, and she does journals, paper journals. And I don't love her channel, so I'm not going to share her channel. I don't want to be negative about anybody, but it reminded me that some of the things that we did in those paper journals, paper scrapbook albums, I guess, handmade scrapbook albums, have a nice correlation to what we do with junk journals. It's that style is a little more restrictive as far as what pictures and where and thickness and such. But I'm a big fan of the hybrid business of, you know, make your junk journal work for you. If you want it to be a photo album, that's fabulous. If you want to make it a journal, that's great too. If you want to store memorabilia or any combination of those items, it should be what you want it to be. And it reminded me, her channel reminded me that it's a great idea to combine some of the techniques that I used to use for paper albums with what I'm doing now with junk journaling. So that's another on my to-do list and come up with. So once again, Squirrel answering questions, but y'all just keep going. Somebody asked about where I got the Seth Apter Vintage Beeswax, and I ordered it through Seth Apter's website, sethapter.com. I don't know if it's still in stock or not, but that's where I got it. This is the bone folder I was referring to. When I was doing those, trying to 4 separate videos that I wasn't doing well with the accordion and blah, 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 I put all that away. And then this morning I came in and I had an idea, and that's where we're going to go with this. But I knew I was on the right track because my bone folder, I turned up, the one Oliver, whatever we want to call the cat, what he was playing with, and I found it. So I knew, oh, I must be on the right track. This is it. You can see it is old. And if I'm looking at it, you know, compared to, oh, this is another old one, but to the Fiskars one that I just recently purchased, you can see it bend. These guys do not bend. They're like solid, a Teflon bone folder, I believe is what they are. Cool tool. So I was thrilled that I found that. It has turned up and it's back where it belongs. On that note, bone folders, stamping platform. This is a Misty, and it's the older one. I don't know if it's the original one, but I think it might be. And it's a way to put your acrylic or cling dies and get precision crafting. And Corey, why didn't you put stamps in your tools that you must have? Honestly, it's because I don't think of stamping as a tool. And I know I probably should, because it certainly could, and I thought about it. But it's almost everything is consumable, and I use these precision crafting things for cards, but I don't use it as much for junk journaling because I like the randomness of you know, just taking one of these and smacking it down somewhere. It doesn't have to be a perfect image, whereas this is more like precision and perfect images. This is kind of like random images. And what I did is I have next to my desk a set of stamps, you know, that I use frequently, and then I just swapped them out. I took those, put them away, and grabbed another set so that I'm mixing up and using different stamps. So if we use any stamps in today's project, it will be one of these, simply because these are the ones that I grabbed. And these are all not Simon Says, Stampers Anonymous stamps, Tim Holtz, just because they were the ones that were in front. There's lots and lots of stamps that'll work. And the biggest reason I didn't include stamps, and that is because I think of stamps as mostly consumable. The stamps themselves aren't, but the ink and the embossing powder and the paper and the spray and all of that is consumable, so I think of it differently. But yes, if you are interested in a precision stamping tool, Tim Holtz has a platform. I've never used it, so I don't want to say, you know, one way or the other. This is, I believe, the original Misty. They have new ones now with some additional features with the base and with the color of the tape, and I don't know, there's some other features but this one works just fine for me. And so maybe somebody who upgraded to a new one might be getting rid of one of their old ones, which work just great, and you might be able to find it secondhand, so it might not be so spendy. Then again, it's Black Friday weekend, so maybe my sweet Petunia, who is the creator of the Misty, has them on sale. I honestly don't know, I haven't looked. Stamping in junk journals is just wonderful, and so I probably should have included that in my must-have tools, though not necessarily the Misty, but stamps itself, because I use them all the time too. So there you go. All right, all of that, wow, 16 minutes, and I haven't even started anything yet. Okay, but I answered questions, and that's important, and I talked about Tracie's concept, and that's important, and I've got some channels that I'm going to talk about, and somebody asked about, and I'm going to zoom in now because, no, I'm not going to zoom in yet. All right, so three things. Nothing but scraps. I am going to just use scraps to create these little itty bitty book, and I'll show you how I did it. And again, when I thought of that, I knew I was on the right track because I had lost or misplaced this die that I showed you the other day, the dandelion die. It's a Simon Says stamp die, and I was so bummed. It's like, oh man, I really wanted to use that. But when I decided to do this instead of the accordion fold to share for the pay it forward thing, the die turned up. So I, again, with the bone folder and the die, I knew I was on the right track because it was in one of these, and these are scrap postage labels, and I have so many of them that I have 2 sewing machine drawers of postage labels. You can't even see them, but old sewing machine drawers, which was another question that I got. Why do I use these? I had really cool plastic containers that worked well, but I've slowly but surely tried to switch out the plastic for old vintage, whoops, sorry about that, wood pieces and such. And I just really like them. So, you know, over time, I'll just, when I need to replace something or when I find something that's a reasonable price and will work, I'm replacing plastic with the wood. I was going to show you something else. Oh, so Tracie Fox, she has a design team, and my Pay It Forward, I'm going to list 2 of the channels that Tracie's design team members. Now, do they have a lot of followers or few followers? I don't know. I'm not great at that. I admit it. I'm not great at that. And the journal that we're going to make today, the little itty bitty, just using scraps and digitals. Tracie Fox has some of these, and I've had them for a long time. These are old cigarette cards or tea cards that I had ordered on Etsy, but Tracie makes a faux one with flowers, and she's got some others and birds and critters and such that are digitals, and I really love them, but I almost never use them. And I should, and because I think they're the coolest things. So I'm going to base the little itty bitty journal we're making today on this. So it'll be a little bit bigger than this. This one is 2 inches by 2 inches. Though I wouldn't have guessed that square. It's not square. 2 inches by 1 3/4 inches, and we're going to make one just a smidge bigger because I want to use this as the closure for the front, and not necessarily this, but one of these Tracie cards, because again, this is Paying It Forward. It's a Tracie thing, and I want to honor Tracie by using some of her products when I'm doing the Pay It Forward thing. Oh my gosh, see, you can see I have a whole bunch of these things. There's a whole bunch, and it's a cool digital, and I think it's cigarette cards is how you find it on Tracie's channel if you're needing some digitals. All right, so we're going to make these, and I'll show you how horrible. I'm going to throw myself under the bus here. This is one of the scrap bins, you know, the long and thin piece. It's an old baking tin that I got at a antique mall or something for like maybe $1. And I really like using these to store the long thin pieces, but you can see that thing is overflowing. It is way too full, but that's scraps, and I'm going to use, well, I should put it right here. I'm going to use some of those to build this because they're the right size. And then here is the other bin. I still use the plastic sorting tools, but well, I can't even fit it all in here. That's how full this and big this drawer is. But when I'm creating, there you go, you can see it. It's a drawer. It's just a big drawer. Got that one at a yard sale or some such thing. And when I'm in the middle of creating something, I just throw the scraps in there, and then I eventually sort them out. Well, obviously I haven't sorted them out, but so that's my scrap bin, and that's what I'm going to use. And now I will zoom in because, oh my gosh, it's getting ridiculously long. Nope, you can't see anything because I haven't. Now I can see where my work surface is, and I can adjust accordingly so that I can have my hands at a reasonable spot and you can see it. All right, now this is right in front of my face, but at least I can see it and you can see it. So you can see this is about 2 inches by 1 3/4, but I want to use, maybe not that one, but I want to use some of these digitals as the cover. Oh, that's really pretty. Maybe I'll use that one for it. And this is 2.5 by 1 1/4. So I'm going to maybe do maybe a 3 inch by 2 inch. So my mini journal today is going to be 3 inches by 2 inches ish to fit these cigarette cards. And I didn't realize I wasn't in frame. Well, let's move that just a little bit. So 3-ish by 2-ish, okay? So that I can make the closure and cover with this. So when I'm picking my scraps, I need to pick items that will work with this size. So I have to just keep my size in mind. That's, I guess, my whole point here. And I'm going to do the same type of thing with this cover and copy that. And maybe I should show you what we're going to be making before we actually make it. It's just a scrap little folio folder, triple fold thing. Super, super, super simple. I mean, really, really easy. But fun and quick and a great way to use up some scraps. And I pulled out this postage stamps because I tucked a couple little postage stamps in there. And here is just a belly band, a little fold over tuck spot in belly band with a mini little tag in it. And then this is in one of those flap accordion pieces with a little notepad inside of it. And I'm going to change this up just a smidge because it's faster and easier. But just a little notepad inside. And then this one is just a little tuck spot with a bit of embellishment and then an itty bitty tag. See, stamps on that one. And we are going to I'm going to show you how I made something like this just using scraps. Okay. First, let's see. I don't think I have any cardstock scraps in here. Holtz Cardstock is fabulous for this because it's two-sided and it's not always super dimensional. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean directional. Yeah, here you go. I have a bin because, you know, I have scraps of just Holtz scraps because I've got projects in the making with using Holtz product. Anyway, those are coming up. But I've got oh, here we go. So let's see, is that big enough? That might be. Let's see, these are just some scraps, some Holtz scraps. So I'll pull a couple of these out and see if those are big enough. When I open my Etsy shop, it's to raise money for books, novels for my students. And this year we have 130 or 140. We're doing it as a team with the 5th graders. And so I've just been busy and haven't, yeah, these are good scraps, but I think those are the only long ones. I haven't opened my Etsy shop and put the stuff that I've got in there because I've just not had time to package them up and ship them out. But I am going to. That's on my Christmas break or winter break to-do list. And I use these scraps to make the pieces that go inside those. I'll have 6 of the Scrap Buster idea books, and then I've got about 30 scrap cluster kits, maybe 30-ish, something like that. And once I finish those, I will I'll put them in my Etsy shop. But that's my reason for just having the Holtz scraps, because I use a lot of these when I'm making pieces for those projects. All right, so let's see if these are long. Either one of these is long enough. Here's the cigarette card. Maybe, no, it's not quite. No, it's not quite. Shoot. Well, shoot. I have other scraps. I have bigger scraps, but I was hoping that I could use that because I really do want to use Tracie's digital image. So to this. Okay, so when I was doing the Susie Shabby Soul bit, I had this bag in here, and it's been in here forever and ever. Oh, it's good that I showed you this because then I can go off on another squirrel. All right, so one of the sidetracked. One of the things that I showed you is using the in the last video, using a laminator to get out bubbles when you're backing a card. And I'm going to zoom out for that because whoa. Okay, and I knew it worked when you do it right away. Like, so you've got a piece, you know, you've got your piece, your ugly piece. Sorry, whoever made that. It's not really ugly. It's just not what I want to use. I didn't mean to be mean. Just not what I want to use for this project. Anyway, you've got the piece that you want to cover, and you cover it with glue, and you put paper or whatever you put on it, and put it through the laminator, and that works out the bubbles. I mean, when you do it right then and there. But I wondered, these have been in my drawer for a while, or my workstation for a while, and so there were bubbles in them, but they were old bubbles. So the glue had long since dried and had activated and are since dried and such, and the bubbles were in there. So I wanted to see, all that to say, I wanted to see if the laminator would smooth out old bubbles, old glue bubbles or paper bubbles, and they did. Slick as a whistle. I don't know, there was several bubbles in this, so I don't know if you can see now. It's just like this is one piece of paper. There is no ridge there. So it works for old pieces too. Like if you've got a scrap bin with pieces that you've done and there's some bubbles in them for tags or cards or what have you, it worked well for that. And I thought I would make this, and I still will, I'll put these back in here, the accordion style album. I will, and I found some bits and pieces in there that I will use like this. Here you go, here's a great example. Here's some little bits and pieces that, well, you know, I was going to use on that. And it was in here, and there you go. Isn't that kind of fun? It's one of those dimensional, it was a stamp, and then I used French knots for the top, and this is just a cover of an index card, you know, the little index card things that you use. This was the cover of it. Apparently had coffee dyed and made this. I don't remember doing it, but anyway, that'll be the cover of I don't know, there's some little pieces. That might be too big. You know what? Maybe that'll fit. There you go. Maybe I'll just put these pieces in the one we make today. Oh, and look, there's a little piece of lace. There's all kinds of cool treasures in here. But anyway, this was for whenever we do the accordion album. And I'll stop talking and get to work. And I'll look for a piece, the perfect paper for this, and get back on what we were doing before I got sidetracked, is the Tim Holtz paper I chose because, one, it was on my desk, and two, it's not directional. So you don't have to worry if you're going to flip something up or something down or little bits and pieces here. So you don't have to use that by any means, but you do probably want, excuse me, a piece of two-sided cardstock, and you do probably want one that's patterned, that has non-directional patterns or lightly directional patterns. Okay, so let's see what I can find. Oh, look, Tim Holtz cardstock. Imagine. This is brighter than I want to use, so it's really cool. And yes, it's true. He is getting rid of, or he's doing away with, or whatever you want to call it, the 12 by 12 paper pads. So if you're able to find some, I would highly recommend, and if you like it, I mean, obviously if you like that kind. See, this is so full I can't even find anything, which is why I use the sorting system that I use. That's not long enough, though this works too. This braille paper, coffee dyed braille paper, works really well for that too, because you can decorate it and zhuzh it up as much as you want. I recently learned that Wendy from Love Junk Journals, no, not that's Tracie Love Junk Journals, Wendy from Wendy's Journal Adventures lost her beloved Leo, and I cried. I did. That cat is just, oh, that cat is everything. Oh, here's a Gale digital, but it's kind of thin. This isn't printed on cardstock. But I need something a little bit wider and a little bit longer, and maybe I should find something. I probably should have done this before coming on camera, but at the same time I wanted to show you this is the reality. This is what I do when I'm digging for scraps, and I don't see anything out of all these scraps. I don't see anything that is screaming to me. But you know, this is kind of cool. I really like that, so let's use that. And I think there were solid pieces of card in here. Yep, let's use this. Okay, look, that's what we're going to do. Was that the plan? No, but you know, sometimes, oh, that's going to come in handy to make a little notepad. Looky there. I don't even know why that's in there, but it's obviously a vintage notepad, so let's just pull that out. All right. And again, I hit the camera with that bin. I apologize. Let's see if I can straighten that out. Oh, this is getting ridiculously long. I am so sorry. Okay, we're not going to decorate the book because we'll be here until next week, but I will show you how I put this thing together. I'll finally get back on that, and I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it because it's a little guy. I'll show you how I put it together. All right, before I do that, I need to adhere. This, okay, because I want, let's see, what size is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 inches. Will that work? Well, I can trim it down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, well, you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. And that butterfly is really all kinds of cool. So maybe I'll do that. I want to get that butterfly on there. So I'll cut myself 2, oh, you can't even see. Sorry. I'll cut 2 strips so that I can put this on here because that butterfly is really, really, really cool. And there, and then I'll cut it right here because I don't want to. I have no idea whose tissue paper this is. Don't know, don't remember. It's in my scrap. But I'm imagine any tissue paper. Maybe it's Tim Holtz because I use a lot of his product. Anyway, I am going to adhere this tissue paper, and this background is really white. It's a lot whiter than I would like. So maybe I need to, and this is my creative process. People have told me, oh, we'd like to see it. Well, here you go. You know, that's big enough. It's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. I can cover things up. But before I do that, I don't want that background quite that light. So I can do a lot of things. I can stamp on it. I can spray it with ink. I can color it. I can use, you know, just my ink pad and run a brush and run it over it. I think I want, now I have to put all this stuff away so I don't get ink anywhere. I have an ink splat box, and that's a really cool tool if you're a make-a-mess like me, but I don't want to get it out. It's on my art cart, which is on the other side, and this has already turned out to be long enough. So I am going to move things to the side so I don't ruin anything. And I am going to grab, oh my goodness, Corey. And I like a neat workspace. You'd never guess looking at it right now. Okay. All right, at least there we go. I'm going to put that back where it belongs for the next project. Okay, now I can do this. Let's see. I think I'm going to use some stain. So I'm going to grab, oh, and I'm going to have to zoom back out because you're going to look at this and think I'm nuts. This is a heavy metal tray that I got last year before, a couple years ago, sometime in Shipshewana, Indiana, when I went up there for the auction and such. And I keep some of my ink pads in here and my sprays. This is Walnut Spigdane. Maybe I'll use that. But you know, the Lindy's Magicals, the distress sprays, all that kind of stuff. It's just a compartmentalized metal tray. And oh, here we go. Distress mica flakes. How cool. Not even opened. Anyway, I keep more distress mica flakes. Apparently I got a 2-pack. Salvage patina, not even opened. Well done, Core. Squirrel. Okay, prize ribbon. That's a really cool color. Some of this cool Tim Holtz Distress Glaze. Anyway, those kinds of things are in here, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but I do have these, and I have them sorted. So let me put that back. And it is heavy, but I don't care because it's really cool. All right, so walnut stain spray. This is way back when I got these walnut crystals. I did it again. Sorry, guys. These walnut crystals a long time ago. And they come in a little package, and then you mix them with water, and it gives you the walnut stain. And since I'm just doing this as a background, I'm not doing any mixed media techniques or layering things. I think this will work just fine. But I do want to make a pool. Do I want to make a pool? Yeah, I'm going to make a pool. And this stuff stains, so I'm going to have brown fingers, just giving you all a heads up. And I want that, there we go, a little bit thinner and spread out. Okay. I do have the Tim Holtz Mister, which is a finer mist. It gives you a little bit more control, but for this, that one works just fine. And so it's almost like coffee dyeing this, but not really coffee dyeing it. I'm really glad I have a roll of paper towels here. Okay, so I just want to kind of, whoops. I just kind of want a fun background. And yeah, I know this is probably a little bit of a squirrel, but it needed, that's what I had. And when you're, you know, doing nothing but scraps, which is my goal here, you work with what you've got. Okay, yeah, see, stains. And it looks like I need a little more. I picked up most of that. And see, this is where if I knew how to use the iMovie thing well, I could pause it and heat dry this. And, you know, I wonder, my laminator's on and it's hot. And I wonder if I run this through the laminator. Maybe I should just make it loud and suck it up for a minute and use my heat tool. And that was another thing. Oh, there you go. See, there you go, Squirrel again. With stamping, one of the reasons, I mean, stamping is its own special world. You can use stamping in junk journaling, of course, and many of us do, most of us do. But it's got all its own tools and cool things and treasures and, you know, heat guns. Oh, I know. The other thing I didn't mention in the tools that I meant to mention is my the hair straightener thing. You know, the one people use to straighten their hair. I don't straighten my hair, even though I probably should. But I picked it up at a yard sale for 75 cents, and I keep it on my tool cart, and it's kind of cool. I think I like that. And I use it to iron the ribbon that's on my desk, so I don't have to heat an iron and pull out my ironing board and all that kind of stuff. I mean, my ironing board's on an IKEA cart, but still. And let's see. Ooh, I like that. Maybe I'll give it a little bit of freckles now that it's mostly colored. Oh, yeah, that's kind of fun. Okay, I like that. And the other side needs some too, because we got to show equal love on both. All right. Now I am going to reach across and grab my heat tool, and I apologize, it's loud. And like I said, once I get good at editing, I can take this kind of stuff out, but I'm not there yet. Okay, how many times in one video can I hit my camera? Yeah, you should heat these up first, especially if you're using embossing powder. Tim Holtz reminded me of that just the other day. This is a Stampin' Up! One, and it's old. But let your tip heat up a little bit before you use it. And there's a couple different kinds. There's a low heat tool, and then there's a high heat tool, and well, there's probably a lot of others that I don't know about. But this one works, and so this is what I use. When you're using embossing powder, let your tool heat up first, because otherwise it just blows your embossing powder, because it's the heat that melts the embossing powder. So you want your tip and your gun a little hot before you start to try to melt it. Okay, and then there's another one, a higher one, so it'll be really loud. And that's for melting the embossing powder, but for drying something, this works. And I'm not patient enough. I use an iron sometimes to get it dry fast. But for the sake of this, sorry, like I said, I should have had this done 37 minutes. This is going to be an hour freaking video, and it was intended to be super quick. So if you're not a long video fan, I apologize. Feel free to stop. I'll show you the end product at the very end. My goal has always been to keep my videos somewhat short, and well, I've failed at that recently, big time. Okay, it's not dry, but you know what? I'm really curious if the laminating tool will dry it. I know the iron would dry it pretty quick. Microwave, you can stick it in the microwave, just don't walk off and let it burn or burn your house down. There's a lot of ways to dry paper. I mean, you could let it air dry, but that's kind of crazy. Who does that? I really like the effect that the walnut stain is giving this. It's kind of subdued and subtle, but still it makes a statement. I think it's going to look good underneath that paper. Okay, this is still really wet. Okay, that's taking way too long. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I know I can use, okay, see, I told you, how many times a day how many times in one video can I hit this camera? I'll turn on my heating tool, my 75-cent yard sale heating tool, and I will pull over the laminator, because I knew I was going to have to back something, and so I turned the laminator on, and it's hot and it's ready. So let's run this through and see if that helps heat it too. We'll see. We'll experiment together. And no, I'm not going to continue to do these craft with me, these videos. It's maybe every once in a while, but not with any degree of frequency, simply because I like to, you know, have everything projected and stepped out and such. This was a random squirrel. Oh, see, there you go. The channels that I am going to link below. I'll link the I'll link Tracie's so you can see her video, and then you can go to the people that she suggested. And if you choose to. And then the 2 that I'm promoting for the Pay It Forward, because remember, this is ultimately a Pay It Forward project, and this, what I'm making today with you guys, though I'm not going to do all the decorations because I take too long at that, and this is going to be too long. But this journal will go to one of the people that comments on one of those 2 videos. And the 2 Tracie Fox design team members that I saw first are, no, didn't really heat it up. It's still kind of wet. Darn it. Let's try it again. Are Debbie Kipp from Kipp's Corners. I'll link it. I'll fix it in the description below. I'll get the right one and I'll put the link in there. And I don't think she's new to junk journaling. I think she's been around for a bit, but she's kind of new to me. And she's a Tracie Fox design team person, and those are the ones I'm wanting to, pay it forward using their channels with. And I have no idea how many subscribers either one of them have because I didn't look, but I probably should have. Oh well. Anyway, Debbie Kipp from Kipp's Corners, and Moira Gray, because she's the one who inspired Tracie, because she was inspired by Susie at Shabby Soul. So yeah, those are the ones I'm going to put in there, and I'm going to, okay, now this is working. The second pass made it a lot more dry. I'm going to do it one more time because I'm talking anyway, and it is helping. It's making it dry. The other thing I've been meaning to bring up, and I keep forgetting to bring up, even though it's super exciting to me, is New Year's Day. Some junk journal friends and I are going to do a collaboration for New Year's Day, and we are calling it Initial Kickoff to 2022. I didn't even think about a name, and then one of the nice ladies brought up the name. And anyway, those people, there's going to be 6 of us, and Initial Kickoff to 2022. And the idea is that we're going to share ideas using our initial or initials. So I am going to do collage or clusters, the differences and techniques with both. So Corey, collage, clusters, right? Alliteration, collage or clusters with Corey, or something like that. And so I will be there. And then Sue from Paper Inspiration is going to possibly do something like serviettes, which is such a cool name for napkins, I think. Serviettes, stamping, and stencils with Sue. I think that's where she's going, but I don't know that for sure. And I told them, do you, whatever you want to do. If you want to change your mind, that'd be awesome. So Paper Inspirations, Paper Inspirations with Sue. Marley Design. Marley is a Netherlands crafter who's phenomenal. She does a beautiful job, and she is going to do possibly mixed media with Marley's, which I think is cool because she's fabulous at it. Gail from Gail Augustinelli, and I don't know if Gail's landed on what she's going to do yet. Maybe she's just going to surprise us all because it's Gail and she does that. Gosh, I adore that woman. And then Wendy is possibly joining us. Wendy Connors Beckett. She lost her beloved Leo, and I don't know if she's going to still join us or not, but I hope she does, and I'm not sure what she will do. So Marley's, Sue, Gail, Tracie Fox, Love Junk Journals. I think she's going to do something with her initials, TDF, but I won't swear to that. But Tracie's going to join us, she's the one who started this, so I'm just thrilled that she's joining us too. And then I can't believe I'm forgetting somebody. I'm forgetting somebody important. There's 6 of us. So Wendy and Corey and Tracie and Gail and Sue and Marley. So, okay, that's everybody. Gail Augustinelli, Wendy's Journal Adventures, Sue from Paper Inspirations, Marley Designs, and Tracie Fox Love Junk Journals, or Tracie Fox Creative Love Junk Journals. Yeah, so those are the 5 plus me. So it's going to be Initial Kickoff. We're using our initials to 2022. And the hashtag I believe we're going to go with is initially you 2022. And I said, do whatever you guys want. I mean, sure, use your initials, but if that means something different, okay, it is almost dry. Let's see if this will help dry it now that we've done that. Oh, look at that steam come off. I don't know if you can see it. So they're going to do something with their initials, whether it's a tip or a trick or a project or, oh yeah, that works really well too because it's nice and hot. And now my hands are burning. Do you see the steam? Oh, how cool is that? So again, just be careful. So that's New Year's Day. And everybody, let's see, Wendy is in Canada, And Gail and I are in the US, but we're in different time zones. And Tracie's in the UK, and Sue is in Australia, and Marlies is in Netherlands, I believe, is where she's from. So we're going to have all over. So there's not a specific time like, oh, Corey, it's New Year's Day. I told him, release the video when you're wanting to release the video on New Year's Day. So that'll be kind of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. And I know I'm going to be inspired to create in Squirrel by those amazing people. All right, that worked. This is hot. Now I can actually make the background. And the next step is going to be, oh, see, now look how cool that looks with that under there. I really like that change. I like the different colors. I'm glad I didn't leave it white like that. And I got to make sure that these are the right direction, because this project is not a flip up and down kind of a project. So it just, what did I do here? It goes in the same direction. So, okay. So now I'm going to adhere. Oh, I like the color peeking through. Okay, that makes me happy. I'm glad I did it. I'm going to get a piece of my scratch paper, and I'm going to glue, and then I'll put it through the laminator again to get those, to show you my new, that's not new, I've been doing it a while, but that cool laminating effect. So I'm going to put lots of glue on here, lots of glue stick, and again, glue stick of your choice. I don't know if Tracie uses glue stick. If she does, I haven't paid attention, or if she has a specific glue stick that she loves. But Gail uses Yoo-Hoo, and I just ordered, I couldn't find these. I used to get them on Amazon, and they weren't there, so I ordered a bunch from Michael's because I really like this one. See, I don't know if you can see it, but it's glue and it's sticky, but it doesn't get those big old glue clumps that I get sometimes with other glues. Maybe I just pushed too hard, and more than likely it's user error. But even with user error, I still want it to work the way I want it to work. So I'm putting glue on this. I'm not being too careful. I'm just trying to get it as in many places as possible because I want this tissue paper to stick. Now, I have a video from, I don't know, old video that talks about how I use Mod Podge and then you apply the Mod Podge, let it dry, and then the heat activated Mod Podge. See, I've been doing heat activated stuff for a while. Anyway, what did I do with my, here we go, my ice scraper. There we go. So I can do the initial bubbles and get those out here this way. You can do the Mod Podge and when it dries kind of technique to put tissue paper and such on, but for the sake of speed. And so this is the direction I want it to go in. So when I flip it over, I want it to go in the same direction so that one's not upside down, because I really don't want one upside down. All right, so I'll put it on that way. I'm going to put the other side on, and then I'm going to run it through my laminator, and then I'll trim it to whatever size we decided we were going to make. And, you know, maybe I'll use a butterfly card on the front, since she has cigarette cards that are butterflies as well for the band. The band to hold it together. And I'd make that last, and the reason I'm not making that now, and which band am I talking about? I lost it. Okay, great. I moved it and I lost it. I lost the little band that holds this guy together. Oh, no, I didn't. Here it is. The reason I make this last is because you want this scrap piece of paper band to fit around this, and then I just close where the paper matches by putting a little label on top. But you want it to fit. So if you make things chubby like I do, this will be your last step. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, see, got sidetracked again. I have since, let's see, what is that up there? 2008. So I think since about 2006, I've been doing one word for the year. And usually they're you know, deep is the wrong word, but they're more thoughtful, introspective words, and their goal is to improve myself in some way, shape, or form. This last year, 2021, has been impact, considering the impact what I do has on others. And that's been my word and my focus. I've had challenge, I've had intentional, renew, explore. I've had lots of words. And so they're all those kind of, you know, thoughtful words that you know, designed to make you a better person. Well, I'm really thinking this year, and I didn't, oh man, look, I made it come over here, but I didn't cover over here. Oh well, it still works. I'm really thinking squirrel might be my word for 2022, because I do it, and if I'm going to squirrel, I want to be careful about my squirrel. Like I have bins back there of incomplete projects that I have been meaning to. And so maybe I'll give myself a Squirrel Day challenge. So that would be, I take one of those bins where I've squirreled and I finish up one of my squirrel projects. Yeah. Or maybe it'll be embrace the squirrel, because sometimes I come up with good ideas when I squirrel. Sometimes I don't, but sometimes I do. And so maybe squirrel will be my word. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Let's see. Was I going to answer anything else? So I said Moira and Debbie Kipp. Oh, here we go. Advice to new, because Tracie's was new people to junk journaling, and I don't think they're new or their channels are new, but they're, like I said, Tracie Fox Design Team people, and I want to spread the love to them, so paying it forward through them. And one thing that I thought of when listening and looking at new people's channels and stuff is, my advice would be, not that I'm a pro by any means, but be you. Don't copy somebody else's style or what you see and think is, oh, that worked out really well, popular or what have you. Do you. I mean, do the things that inspire you and motivate you and what makes you unique. So go with what you have to offer. I mean, what can you teach somebody? How can you benefit somebody, and go from there. All right, cigarette card, and I'll look through later. Oh, look, it's a sign. I opened it to the first one, and look, there's butterflies right there. And these are the, I think these may be originals. Maybe these are Tracie's. You know what? These, look at that. There you go. Slick as a whistle. One of these. Even though these butterflies go sideways, there's no reason on earth I couldn't fold this sideways. I mean, it doesn't have to be this way, right? Just because this one's this way doesn't mean this one has to be this way. Doesn't. I can do it. Okay, totally cool. I'm using one of these images, and I'm going to stop there because then I'll get even more sidetracked. And I'll wait and see which papers I use, but I really like these. These are really cool. You know what? That green one's really pretty. It's kind of singing to me. And I kind of like it with these guys on here, and I like those colors. So maybe I'll just do that one. At the end, again, when I'll do this at the end when we've decided how thick we're going to make this. So, excuse me. Now I'm going to trim this down, and I'm not going to trim it too much. I mean, this one was a lot smaller, but it's going to be the exact same concept, just in a little bit bigger journal, because this is what I've got. But I do need to have it straight, and I do need to trim it down a little bit. So, oh, and if you're trimming tissue paper with this, make sure you've got something. That's really cool. I'm going to have to save that. Make sure you've got something behind it, because otherwise it'll just tear the tissue paper and you might get frustrated. Okay. And yes, I'm going to save those because, hello, that's a really cool cluster scrap. Of course I'm going to save that. So let's trim that off. And now maybe I can let's go 3.5 inches. I think 3.5 is good. Let's do good. Let's do 3.5. I am going to move it down a little bit more because I really like that paper up at the top. I really like this scrap. And okay, I am stopping at an hour. Oh my heck. Regardless. See, this is why I don't do crafts with me, so we don't get anything done. I'm too slow. My word. All right. I can at least show you how I fold this and what I do. Get the basics for this done. I should probably just redo this video, but I'm not going to. I've got other things I've got to do. Okay, so I've got one strip. And I decide which do I want to be my cover, which do I want to be the inside. That is really pretty, but I still think I want it to be the inside because I think this will make a better cover. All right, so my first step, or my next step, I should say, is to measure it. When you make these, you want to have, it's just a tri-fold. You want your inside piece, your inside fold, to be just shy of 1/3, because what happens if you divided this up into thirds, you wouldn't have room for your little fold over tuck, which is kind of important. And when you close this, your inside flap is going to hit the corner, and it's bulky and it's annoying, and then you end up trimming it anyway. So when you're scoring or folding this, keep that in mind. You want it to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller or shorter than your crease line. But you want your outside piece, because it's your cover, you want it to touch the edge. So keep those in mind when you're folding your piece. All right, so there's my tip there. So if this is 11.5 inches, if I do 3 3/4, so this first fold I'm going to do at 3 3/4. No, I'm not, because I want to have a little bit of a tuck spot here. So I'm going to do it at 3.5. I'm going to do this one because of the length of mine. Again, use the length of yours. I'm going to do it at 3.5. I'm going to score at 3.5. I'm just going to call that good. Okay. And then I'm going to fold it over. Now I am going to score right next to that, not on top of it, but right next to it, so that I've got a little bit of a give. It's not going to interfere, right? But I want it to fold over, okay? And then I'm going to fold that like so. And you can see it overlaps the edge. And I did that on purpose because I'm going to use that edge overlap to make my little tuck spot over here. All right, and let's see, where does it end? And so I am going to do that at about 3.5. I just used the edge of the other piece to determine where my fold was going to be. Because again, this is going to be the piece that sits, that touches the edge, and I want that to match up. I want it to that's going to be, that is going to be my cover, and I want it to line up. And I think it doesn't line up perfectly, but I can see, and even then I should have changed it a little bit. I just kind of smoosh it and roll it. Because I do want that to line up, because this is going to be my front cover, and this is going to be, this is going to be, oh, I like that. And this is going to be the image on it. And I may put a piece of lace or something behind it just to make it, you know. And that is kind of how you fold it. Then to do the next piece, I am going to get a scrap. I'm not going to, because this is so long, I'm just not going to show you all the steps like I normally would. You just glue a little small square around the corner, and that gets you your tuck spot. You're going to glue it in 2 spots, okay? To do this piece, I'll show you this piece real quick because it's super easy. You take your middle measurement, and I don't even know what my middle measurement is on this. This is going to be the squirreliest video. Maybe I should disable the likes and dislikes. So this was 3.5, so I'm going to do 3 3/8. I'm going to get another scrap. Oh man, here we go with the scraps again. I'm going to get another scrap of paper. Okay, and another scrap. I'm just going to use this one because I'll show you, and then I'll cover it up. But another scrap of paper, and I said 3 3/8. Okay. And you just get a long scrap of paper, and then you fold, and you want it to fit inside here. And what did I say my height was? I don't even remember. It was a long time ago. The height on this was 3.5 inches. So I want this to be just a smidge smaller than 3.5 inches. Oh, look, there's an ugly spot. Well, I'm going to cover that up anyway. So I want it to be a smidge smaller than 3.5 inches. So I'm going to fold up this bottom piece. And this needs to be just a little smaller than 3.5. So I'm going to do 3 3/8. 3 3/8. And I'll fold it down. Okay. And this is where your bone folder comes in handy. This is where it breaks down and gives you a nice tight crease. Bone folders are really just a good thing. Okay, so there we go. And then I've won a little bit of an overlap, so I'll trim this off. Let's see, how about here? All right. And that's a little more than I want, so I'm going to take off a scrap of that. I didn't measure, and I probably should have when I was folding that. So we're going to go like that. All right. And so here is the next centerpiece. Okay. It's just folded 3 times. This is going to be into a pocket. Or it's not a pocket, actually. It's going to be into the closure system, but up and down, basically. And then all you have to do is put this in, right? Like this. And then you can glue it on 2 sides, and you've got a tuck spot in the back or at the top, right? You can do it at the back, top, or side. You know, honestly, okay, because I can. I'm going to squirrel on this a little bit. I really like that butterfly. So I'm going to move this piece rather than having the tuck spot here. On this particular book, I'm going to move this tuck spot to here. And the reason I'm doing that is, 1, I want the butterfly to show more. So I'm going to put a little tuck spot and the butterfly will show. And 2, it'll be easier to have this piece right here as a little bit of a tuck spot. And in fact, I'm going to trim this down a little bit so that there's room to put your fingers in there for a tuck spot, you know, to put a tag or something in there. So I'm going to trim it down a little bit more. So when I fold this in, you see there's a little bit more of a gap here, and that'll give me room to pull out the tag that I'm going to put in there. So that's, I guess maybe this is good in the regard that this is what I do when I'm creating something. I alter it to fit. Yeah, see, that works out great. So I'm going to put this closure that I had in the center, this flip up down with the writing pieces, I'm going to put that right here. And I'm only going to adhere it on 3 sides so that I can use this. Maybe I'll put a little thumb notch or something there. And then I have a place to tuck a tag. So I've got this flip up, and I can put pieces here and there if I choose. I'm going to put that in here. And then this tuck pocket, I am going to put the little tuck pocket maybe on this side to balance it. Maybe I'll just, you know, here, like something like this. I'll get a corner rounder and I'll put a little tuck pocket right here. Glue, tuck pocket. And then here, this, I would really like this to be a little bit deeper. Like you can see here, this one's a little bit deeper. So maybe what I'll do, maybe I'll use a scrap of that, because I know I have a scrap. I'll just grab something for right now. Maybe I'll use a scrap of that to make my tuck spot a little bit bigger. I mean, there's no reason you can't layer this tuck spot. I'll glue these pieces together, and then to make my belly band, I will just, to make a belly band, all I do is, this is just a scrap of that paper, right? I fold down the end, and I'll glue that end right here, right? And then this, I'll flip around and I'll glue right here, right? Maybe I'll sew that, or maybe I'll ink it, or maybe I'll tear it. I'll definitely ink it. And then the tag that I'm putting in here, I won't use that one because that's one for this, but I'll do the same idea. See, so that makes a belly band on top of the tuck. And that's all I do to make the belly band. I fold over one piece and I'll glue that piece down. And then the piece that's going on the inside, I'll wrap it around, and then I'll sew or glue. I'm going to glue all this. I don't think I'm going to sew most of these things. Glue it there, and then the tag, when I tuck the tag in the top, I do a double tag so that it has a tag in the back, and then the tag on the top kind of holds it in place so it doesn't fall down, right? And I'll trim it down. Oh, I'm not even in frame. Oh, so sorry, guys. All right, it's over an hour, and this is a hot mess of a video. But you know what? The concept is good. Pay it forward. I will look at Debbie's most recent video and Moira's most recent video. And on Sunday, today is the 24th, and it's Wednesday. Thursday's the 25th. Friday's the 26th. Saturday's the 7th. Sunday's the 28th. On the 28th, I'll go look at there, and somebody who's made a nice comment, I will randomly message that person and say, hey, this completed journal, and it will be completed and not this hot mess. Well, thank you for commenting on their videos. Thank you for paying it forward, and I will send them this journal. Oh, okay. So that's how I'm going to do it. That's how I make this, and then I guess I should finish it up. So then the very last step is when I'm done and I put all my pieces in, right? And I've got all my pieces. I get another scrap, a long scrap. Here, well, let's just do this one just for the sake of it. I won't use this, but because it's matches too closely. But I get a long scrap, right? And then once the book is done and full, I wrap my long scrap around, give it a little bit of wiggle room, right? Just a little bit. Wrap it around, and then I trim it. Okay, that doesn't work so good. I'm just gonna tear it, but I guess this paper makes it super strong. Okay, and trim it so it overlaps just a little bit, right? Overlap, gonna glue it like that, kind of loose, and then I'm gonna take this and I'll ink it and I'll back it, of course, and I'll put that on, and that'll be my closure. And that is how I made this little itty bitty book. Okay, that should have taken me 5 minutes to show you, and it took me an hour. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Pay it forward, be kind, take care, and happy creating.